Good evening, morning, afternoon, night. Whenever you find a way to watch or listen to this, it's me, Omar Shanti Borja, the Burger Popper, and I'm joined by a longtime friend of the podcast, Nathan Dailey, to talk some Navy topics in the off season, including a new home and home, or not, sorry, not a home and home, but a new one-off game that was scheduled, as well as other topics in college football that are pretty prescient right now. But I'm just glad to have my friend Nathan back on. Nathan, how's everything going?
Hey, it's going really well, Omar. How about yourself?
I'm doing well, doing well. It's nice to do this on a Saturday morning on the weekend. But hopping right into it, so Navy and Ohio State scheduled a one-off game on Labor Day weekend of 2029. This will be the fifth meeting in the series. This kind of came as a surprise because you don't really see Navy schedule FBS games. I guess aside from the Notre Dame game in terms of non-conference, where their schedule philosophy tends to be they only have one free spot, so they fill it with the FCS game. Of course, the other spots being filled by Army, Air Force, and Notre Dame. But the Ohio State game, it is a huge addition, and I guess when the Buckeyes come calling, you got to answer, Nathan. So, what are your thoughts on that game being announced?
Yeah, so I feel the same way you do, man. I was quite surprised by it, just because usually from since I've been a Navy fan, especially since they've been in the American Athletic Conference, they've always done the one FCS game, and then usually you got the Notre Dame game, then obviously you got Air Force, and then Army. So takes up takes up spots to schedule a lot of their games, obviously for non-conference. But I was excited about it. Anytime you can play a program like Ohio State, it's awesome. And obviously we've played Ohio State multiple times in the past, and those were great games. And I think the thing I'm curious about is Navy maybe changing their scheduling philosophy? Are they wanting to get more bigger games like this, which I think is awesome, for the fans. But, it, like I said, it did catch me by surprise, but I'm excited. We've had some really good games with Ohio State in the past, and I'm excited about it. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, there have been five meetings all time. Navy has not won a single one of them, but the last three games in particular have been instant classics. 1981 Liberty Bowl, 31-28 Ohio State win, but Navy made it close with less than a minute to go. The 2009 game, Navy had a chance to actually tie the game, but Ohio State took Navy's 2-point conversion and returned it back the other way for 2 points of their own in a 31-27 win. Ohio State would go on to the Rose Bowl that year. And then, of course, 2014, Navy led Ohio State midway through the third quarter, had the ball actually in Ohio State territory up, I think, 14-13, and could not convert that into another touchdown. Ohio State ended up winning 35-19. And of course, that year being Ohio State winning their first national title since 2002. So Navy has proven that they can compete with Ohio State over the course of the last 20 years whenever those two teams play. So it'll be interesting to see where both programs stand in 2029. But I think it will be a competitive game in the first half. And just to add to your point about the scheduling philosophy of Navy possibly changing, I'm not sure if it's as much of a change, but I think maybe they're more willing to let go of the FCS game and the easy tune-up game if it means being able to play big-time programs. Like in 2031, they have BYU, which of course that game is the second half of the home and home with that Navy started during the pandemic season playing BYU on Labor Day night. So just interesting to see. And of course, that game, looking at it for Ohio State, that game will probably end up being on CBS, Fox, or NBC. I don't see either any of those three networks passing that game up and putting that on the Big Ten Network or Peacock. I definitely see it being a network selection for Labor Day weekend, for those networks. So definitely a huge spot for Navy. In fact, I'd be surprised if CBS doesn't take that one, to be honest, because we all know how much CBS loves the academies. But there's still questions with this year's TV schedule. So why hop to 2029?
Yeah, I'll say the way college football is going these days too. Who knows what's going to happen before 2029? So they might cancel the game for all we know. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, who knows? But like you mentioned before, just going onward with our discussion, like you mentioned before this podcast, Navy has a new athletic director. In fact, this game was announced shortly after he came to the helm. Got to pull up his name really quick. Let's see. I think it's Ryan Kelly, I believe.
I think it's Michael. It's either Ryan or Michael Kelly.
Michael Kelly, yes, Michael Kelly came from USF. So a little bit of movement in conference. USF being a good academic institution. I think they recently joined the AAU, the prestigious AAU that a lot of Big Ten schools are into. But I'm just interested to see. I guess, your thoughts on the new regime. I didn't realize how long Chet Gladchuk had been there. It says that he's been here for 24 years. So just for perspective, I mean, Navy was an independent, of course, when he became athletic director. The CBS Sports contract with the Army Navy game was only 5 years old at that point. Of course, now this is about to be the 30th straight year that CBS has aired Army Navy. So yeah, I guess, Nathan, what are your thoughts on this new regime? On, I guess, what Michael Kelly brings to the table for the Naval Athletic Program?
Um, I the little bit I read about him, I mean, it seems like he's helped the USF, especially with facilities and stuff. I think from what I know, they're building a home campus football stadium, and I think he was a big part of that. So it sounds like he's really helped evolve their athletic department at USF. So I'm excited. I mean, in my opinion, I think he's got big shoes to fill. I know there's been, just kind of following Navy football. I know there's been kind of mixed opinions about Chet Gladchuk. I mean, I don't know the guy personally, obviously, but in my opinion, I mean, he did a great job. I mean, Navy football was in a terrible spot when he took over, and he revitalized the program. I mean, he brought Paul Johnson, and I mean, the triple option came, and I feel like Navy football just went to a whole nother level, and he really helped bring respectability and national respect back to the program, and not just them, but I think academy football as a whole is a lot better place because of what he did. I mean, I even look at Army's program, and they basically took the Navy model and did the same thing there, and so I think Chet Gladchuk's had a big impact in a lot of good ways, and I know that even he's added sport, a lot of sports at the academy. I think total Navy's got 36 sports altogether, and there's been national title winners in other sports. I know that their rugby program's done well. I know the lacrosse program's good. So I don't know. I don't understand the controversy. I mean, but I think the guy obviously seemed to do a really good job. He was there for a long time, and we'll see what this new guy can do, if he can take it up a notch or keep things going. So
yeah, absolutely. And I think something, just reading his profile, I think something that makes him different is the fundraising. And that's something that's huge for Army and Navy. I think in a age where everyone else is getting the benefits of NIL and direct compensation now with the House settlement, which we'll talk about later. Being able to fundraise is huge in terms of facilities. We see Army going through with a remodeling, right, the renovation of Mikey Stadium to make it more up to date, to provide more for VIPs and donors. So it's definitely something that's interesting, and I think they got the right guy, because it said the brief profile on Kelly said that he raised $42 million for USF, which excuse me, is allowing them to build that on campus stadium and move away from Raymond James. Even though I do enjoy seeing USF games at Raymond James, or it was cool seeing Navy play at Raymond James at an NFL stadium in 2024. The on-campus facility is, it's better for optics, but it'll have less seats. It's closer for fans, closer for the students. So definitely much needed. So his ability to fundraise will definitely help in terms of, helping these athletes out, helping attract athletes out with great facilities, and helping to keep sports, honestly, just keeping sports in general, keeping sports at the Naval Academy. Like you said, 36 sports. A lot of schools are having to cut sports because of the House settlement, because of direct compensation to athletes. So, it'll be interesting to see. We'll see. Whether he is another Chet Gladchuk and stays for 2.5 decades, or if he goes to another place. But I think he's here to stay, because his dad, I think, went to the Naval Academy. So he said that it was a dream job.
Yeah, no, and I listened to some of his press conference, and I remember him talking about that. So, like I said, we'll kind of wait and see. I mean, what he does, but I'm excited about it, and I'm just curious to see if he can take this, program to another level. So,
Yeah, exactly. So we will see indeed. So going on, discussing. So I know you wanted to also discuss Army's new athletic director, Tom Theodorakis, and I don't really have much info on him other than I think I'm encouraged by the fact that he has kind of West Coast roots. He went to Syracuse, of course, but then he also had spent time at Arizona in various assisting roles to their athletic director. He also spent time at UCLA, various assistant roles to their athletic director. So, if anything, at the very least, I'm excited for him to potentially let us get a one-off game against maybe Arizona or UCLA. UCLA would be a dream to see Army play a game at the Rose Bowl. That definitely is a bucket list item for me. I also like to I can't really say as much, but I mean, I think it's great too that he's also partaking in cadet summer training out there at West Point. He's been posting recently about many, just putting camouflage in his face, just sitting down eating MREs with the cadets. He had a pizza MRE yesterday, my favorite MRE. And so I'm excited. I think it's great that we're hiring in house, but I think it's interesting because he pretty much has, at least from a football perspective, he has it easy. The schedule is set out for years and years to come, and he's got an Army's in a conference now. So, I mean, I'm just excited to see the momentum that Theodorakis pushes after Mike Buddy's tenure.
yeah, yeah, no, obviously, I mean, I don't know a ton about the guy either, but just a little bit I've seen him. It seems like a good hire, and obviously, he understands the academy, which I think is huge. And um, Mike Buddy, I mean, that seemed like big shoes to fill. I mean, he really did a solid job, it seemed like, and I'm curious to see how he does over at TCU. So,
Yeah, exactly. TCU. So, I mean, interesting too because TCU is at a disadvantage in the Big 12. So, I think he'll fit in well at that job, just trying to make things work against other schools that have bigger enrollments, bigger athletic budgets. Actually, I shouldn't say athletic budgets, but bigger booster bases than TCU, than a smaller school like TCU in the Big 12. So, excited to see where he goes, and hopefully he doesn't forget about us. I would love to see an Army TCU maybe not a home and home, but a one off works too. So, hopefully we see that. So, going on to, of course, the elephant in the room for all college sports is the house settlement. And
yep.
so, for me, I mean, I the house settlement for me, I think it's hard. Well, first off, I've said on a podcast that will have been released by the time that this releases that if you want to read 60-page, court documents, that's on you. But I'm not reading the house settlement. I'm just enjoying the present for college sports. But we'll just have to see. I think we won't see the effects immediately, but it'll be interesting to see who the haves and have-nots are in college football, whether that changes, whether the transfer portal goes crazier. But at this point, in terms of Service Academy football, people have been decrying the end of Service Academy football for years. 2018, when they did a cut block rule, it was supposed to be the end of the Service Academies. When the portal started in 2021, supposed to be the end of Service Academy football, right? And then with another blocking rule in 2022, it's supposed to be the end of Service Academy football. So three different times people have said, "Oh, Service Academy football is in danger. Service Academy football is in danger." Maybe the fourth time's a charm with this being the house settlement, but um, as of right now, I don't really have an idea of how this would restructure college football. The only thing I would think of is like the group of five becomes its own separate entity, but even then, I still feel like we'd enjoy games against Power Four teams. But I want to know your thoughts, Nathan, because I'm just interested in what's right here and right now in terms of college sports. I'm not worried about the settlement.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I don't. Obviously something needs to happen. I mean, college football is in a mess right now. I mean, there's no rules, there's no structure. The NCAA basically has lost their power, and I've got my opinions on the NCAA. I think some of their ways have needed to kind of end. I think some of their rules were a little ridiculous over the years, but at the same time, though, you need a governing body. You need somebody to keep checks and balances, and regulate things. So I don't, I'm gonna be I'm curious to see if the NCAA completely does go away, and if there is a new thing. I mean, I know there's been talks of a commissioner, which I personally think probably needs to happen, because I think right now there's too many people running college sports that are only worried about their conference and not the game and not college athletics as a whole. They're not. I mean, right now everything's a trickle down effect. I mean, not just from Division 1 to Division 3. I mean, it just, we're not thinking about college sports as a whole, and that's concerning. And I'm going to be curious to see if something I've kind of wondered about is, hey, does the Power 4, Power 2, whatever it's going to become tomorrow, if they just break off and just aren't a part of college sports anymore, and if like Group of Five and everybody else stays. So it's going to be interesting. I'm also concerned too for the Olympic sports. I really don't want to see kids lose their opportunities at scholarships and to be able to compete in sports, in other sports. And it's really sad to see like what's going on, because we're not thinking about everything as a whole. It's just people being greedy, and it's just really unfortunate. I think the money is really, to a point, taken away what I think made college football and college athletics special as a whole. And I'm also just curious to see what happens like with the college basketball tournament, because people love that. And, I love too about college sports, just the David Goliath matchups. I think that's what made college sports special. I mean, seeing Appalachian State beat Michigan, or Boise State taking down Oklahoma back in the day, or Navy beating a Notre Dame. I mean, that's the stuff I loved about college football and just college athletics. And it's just, I hope we don't lose that, but I feel like the way things are going, I wouldn't be shocked if we do.
Yeah, I definitely agree. So I think I do think too, something that's interesting, like you said, is like the Olympic sports. So I wonder how realistic it is for football to break away from the NCAA and become its own separate thing, while leaving the Olympic sports in better geographical alignments, because the Big Ten teams are struggling after that move. And then additionally to, like, we see schools like Northern Illinois putting football in a different conference than their Olympic sports. With that in mind. So I'm interested to see that. But the David and Goliath, right? If the Power Four to ever break away, I would hope that we would still be able to play games against the Power Four, Army, Navy, the Group of Five and FCS. I would hope they're still able to play those games, because like you said, the upsets make it so much different than pro sports. I mean, the pro sports is a narrower gap in terms of team quality. There's of course a wider gap with more teams in college football, which makes those stories just amazing. So we'll just have to see. Honestly, I know that in college soccer they're trying to do their own separate league that's partnered with the U.S. soccer system, the U.S. Soccer Commission. I don't really know all the specifics on that, but I know that they are getting tripped up by the NCAA. So I think that might be a huge step in seeing what the future might look like in college football. But this year might be the last dance for what's real with college football. Of course, you have your schools that are opting out of the house settlement, so we'll see how good they compete in attracting schools. And I think the schools that are opting out of the house settlement, I think they're also doing well for their student athletes. Because don't get me wrong, I think it's great that now college athletes are getting paid for the money that they bring into schools. But there's a lot of guys with these roster caps, a lot of walk-ons that are going to get cut from these schools, honestly. And it just sucks, because, they made the roster, they did the work, they walked on, they're paying to play college ball. Now they're having the rug pulled underneath them. So that's the thing that I have the most trouble with. Maybe I have this situation misunderstood. Maybe I do need to dig into these court documents, but that's just my thoughts right now. I really sympathize with the walk-on, and yeah, I guess that's all I really have to say about that.
Yeah, no, and I've always loved the whole walk-on thing with college athletics too. I think it's always so cool, man. Like when you see these videos of like a coach surprising a guy with a scholarship, it makes it fun. And the last few years, I mean, I just been watching what's going on. I'm like, man, sometimes I wish I could go in a time capsule and just go back in time, like when college sports was just more pure. And I mean, even growing up, it's like, I miss just kind of the geography of college athletics. And now I mean, I live in Big Ten country, and don't be wrong, like Oregon, USC, those are great programs, but I'm still like, this is weird. This is the Big Ten. Like, it used to be 10 schools, like Midwest schools. Now we got like Oregon, Washington. I'm like, this is just, I'm still trying to wrap my brain around it. So,
Yeah, it definitely is different, but I mean, we get used to it, right? It's not the first time we had conference realignment chaos, but
yeah.
it is different. It is taking some getting used to. So, we can't really just, wax poetic on the past. Just gotta, I guess, roll with it. I mean, the American's great, but I love the days when Army back in like the mid 2000s was able to get like 2 or 3 power conferences when we'd be able to play Rutgers yearly, back in the day. So, yeah,
Yeah, no, I definitely miss the independent schedule model too in a lot of ways. I don't get me wrong, I think the American's a great league. I think it's been really fun to watch. I think it's been a good fit for both Army and Navy. I think just the schools, they all fit kind of together, the academics, all that good stuff. But I still do miss the independent scheduling. I love like the variety of schedules every year. I'd love like one year you'd play like South Carolina, and the next year you'd play Ohio State and Rutgers. So
yeah, exactly. Um, but I think we have circled all the bases on house talk and everything we got scheduled. Is there anything I missed, Nate? Anything else you want to address before we sign off?
yeah, I'm kind of curious. What's your favorite MRE bar?
Oh shoot, my favorite MRE, it's a pizza MRE, honestly. Like
Yeah.
I think Mr. Theodorakis picked a good one, getting the pizza MRE. All you gotta do is, sprinkle a little bit of salt on it and you're good, honestly. Now the sides, I'm not the type of person that remembers which one has all the sides, which one has the M&Ms, which one has the strike bar, the first strike protein bar. I don't remember the sides. I just remember the main dishes. Like, so pizza's number one, and then a close second is the beef taco MRE, which I'm not sure if it's a different name now, but it's got beef taco, it's got filling, it's got rice. That's definitely a close second. But yeah, the pizza MRE, who can't beat it? A nice slice of pizza.
Probably eat those every day, don't you, Omar?
No, I mean, it's shoot, it's been a while. I'm not gonna lie. It's been a while because our unit, brings hot food. They bring hot food to the field, or they used to. I was in my lieutenant time, would bring hot food to the field, and that's the case for a lot. For I'd say a good amount of installations. I can only speak for like Fort Bliss, right? But I would have to drive back in the Humvee to pick up hot food for our command post. And so we had hot breakfast and hot dinner. So there's no need for me to eat an MRE, honestly. So it has been a while. But back in the cadet days, when we didn't have as many hot meals, when they had us out in the field, I would pick the pizza MRE and then the soft taco MRE. So yeah, I'd say that's my favorite MRE, the pizza.
Yeah. No, that's funny. I was gonna ask too, how's your summer been going?
It's just been good. I mean, shoot, just out here in Georgia, just kind of relaxing, enjoying less of a work tempo. I've yet to announce this, but if those watching this podcast, I will be going to the Southern Conference Media Day. Their head of media operations, Mr. Dave Friedman, had sought me out and wanted me to attend. So God was good and giving me that opportunity, and I'm so grateful. And so I'm excited to attend that in July. But otherwise, there really hasn't been much going, just other than doing regular summer stuff.
Okay. No, that's awesome. You get to go to Southern Conference Media Day. It's going to be a cool experience for you, I bet.
Yeah, absolutely, it would be my first media day. So very
Are
excited
they
for it.
are they helping you fly out there, or is that just all?
No, it's just on my own dime, but it's a good
Okay.
experience with connections. So
Oh yeah. No, that's awesome. How many is that like a couple day event or?
it's just so it's a 2 day event, but one day is particularly like the interview. So I'll be going for the day that's the interviews. The other day is kind of more of a, I guess, a more fun event with the players that'll be there. But yeah, it's more the interviews will be happening on the day that I'm going, and the face to face time coaches and players. So that's when I'll be going to, and it'll be in Greenville, South Carolina. So I'm pretty excited for that.
Okay. Um, who who's all in the Southern Conference again? I mean, obviously you follow FCS a lot closer than I do, but
Yeah, so Southern Conference they got from football side they got Wofford, Furman, Citadel, VMI, East Tennessee State. I'm trying to think, make sure I'm not missing anyone. Um, Wofford, Furman, East Tennessee State, VMI, Citadel. Uh, who else? Western Carolina 6. I'm just trying to think. Oh, Sanford is 7. They don't have anyone in Georgia. Tennessee, I already mentioned East Tennessee State. Who else? Because I think they got 9 football playing schools. I get everyone in the North Carolinas. So those are 7 of the 10, and then they also got UNC Greensboro in basketball. I know for sure. Let me see who I missed for the Southern Conference.
I was gonna say VMI. That's Navy's home opener this fall.
It is, yes, and they just released tickets for that one. Mercer, okay, right? Mercer and Tennessee Chattanooga. So those are the 9 schools, and then you have UNC Greensboro just for basketball or for non-football. So yeah, just a great group of schools. I mean, they play great football, honestly. I mean, most years they're deserving of a 2-bid conference, but I think now with the Coastal Athletic Association in decline, I think that another bid will open up for the Southern Conference on a regular basis. So if not go to the Patriot League. But yeah.
Okay. What are your thoughts on VMI? Do you think they seem to struggle a lot as a program? Like, I,
Yeah.
I'm just
Um,
curious to see how they're going to do against Navy because
I don't think they'll do too good, to be honest with you. They kind of struggled with last year. I think they went 1-10, if I'm not mistaken. After they went 5-6 and under Danny Rocco in their first year. So they won 11 last year. So I think they will struggle against Navy. But I mean, Rocco's got a lot of experience. I mean, he did good at Delaware. He did great at Richmond. Had a 10-win season in Richmond, 3 playoff appearances. Also did great at Liberty back in the mid 2000s. So I think Rocco's got just a lot of great experience. So I think he'll get them in the right place. I think he sees the long churn of what it takes to build a program in at VMI. So um, I think they're in good hands, but they will struggle against Navy.
yeah, yeah. I was going to say when I saw that they were on the schedule, especially with all the guys Navy's got coming back, I'd be surprised if that's going to be much of a game. No disrespect to VMI, great school, I know, military school, but I know the little bit I know about them, they seem to struggle a lot as a program. So maybe they need to run the option. I don't know if they do.
They did try that in the late 2000s. I remember that they almost beat Army in 2009. So they have tried the option route. But I think in 2020, early, late 2010s, they ran a nice air raid. They had a great quarterback, Reese Udinsky, who set a bunch of records. And I think he ended up going to Maryland and then Richmond. I don't know if he's playing pro ball now, but he was a really good quarterback. He played for the Alouettes in 2023 in the Canadian Football League. So Udinsky was a great quarterback for them. But yeah, I think the option would help, but we'll see. Rocco's got a nice pro style offense going there.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, one other thing. Is it true Villanova's going to the Patriot League?
yes, that is true. They are going to the Patriot League. So it's interesting. I don't think the Coastal Athletic Association is in danger per se, but I think that it's not really a conference that it used to be. And I think if you joined the CAA, you joined to play, the classic teams that were the Yankee Conference. Your Villanova, your William and Mary, your Richmond, your Towson, your New Hampshire, Maine, Rhode Island, all of those schools, you joined the CAA to play. And now out of all those schools, only Towson, Rhode Island, New Hampshire, and Maine are still there. So it's tough. Um, it's very tough, but um, you know, I think the conference is not dead per se, but it's not. I think it's a one or two bid league, not as much of the playoff juggernaut that it once was.
Yeah, Villanova has always been intriguing to me. I feel like that's a program that I'm kind of surprised hasn't tried to move up to FBS, especially with their history with their basketball programs. Obviously, a big time deal, and I've always kind of wondered why football hasn't tried to move up to a bigger level.
Yeah, exactly. It is kind of curious, but I think they're just fine where they're at right now. Just like I think they're fine being a basketball school. They're fine being an Olympic sports school because the amount of money they'd have to drain to be in the MAC or be in the FBS level, it's not great. So um, I think they're fine where they're at, and I think the Patriot League is good for them because they're with other private institutions. So yeah, I mean, I am intrigued as well by Villanova. But I don't know if you have anything further, Nathan, before we end. Anything you want to shout out? Anyone you want to shout out, or any thing you want to bring up before we sign off?
No, just appreciate doing this with you, Omar, and just excited for the football season. Excited. I'll be coaching youth football again this fall, so looking forward to that. We got a good number of kids coming out, and I guess if there's any kids watching this, try football. It's a great game, and teaches a lot of great life lessons. So
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. No better game, right? No better team sport, to lay it down. I mean, and I can go on and on about how great football has been, but man, some of my favorite memories are playing football, and a lot of life lessons I've learned. I've learned from football, and I still carry to this day about work ethic and dedication. So, thanks again, Nathan. I always enjoy doing this. It's always a fun time for me. But until next time, everyone, peace, love, and soul, and the Burger Pop.